what he does affects Ukraine, affects Israel and Palestine, affects Europe, affects absolutely everybody. So we've been focusing on that and unfortunately neglecting some of our Ukrainian friends. Today we've decided to talk about a topic that hasn't been talked about in a while and is one of the most important ones you can talk about. But the reason it's so hard is because it concerns really the suffering of families and of their children. What we're going to do here before we begin is I would like to briefly summarize a article from the Institute for the Study of War. It came out March 24th, 2025, so it is a very recent article entitled "Putin is Still Stealing Ukrainian Children." Russian President Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine over 3 years ago with the intent, among other things, of stealing children. Putin launched his imperial conquest first and foremost to dominate the Ukrainian people. He recognized that to deprive Ukraine of its children would be to deprive it of a multi-generational potential. When troops rolled across the border into Ukraine on the night of February 24th, 2022, the groundwork for the massive deportation of Ukrainian children was already in place. Ukrainian human rights activists uncovered Kremlin documents dated February 18th, 2022, which laid out plans to remove Ukrainian children from orphanages in occupied Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts and bring them to Russia under the guise of, quote, humanitarian evacuations, which we all remember, I think. These documents revealed that Russia's plan to target vulnerable Ukrainian children, especially those without parental care, and planned so before the full-scale invasion had even begun. In the subsequent 3 years, Russia has embarked on a Kremlin-directed, deeply institutionalized project to abduct Ukrainian children and forcibly turn them into the next generation of Russians. Ukraine has been able to verify the deportation of 19,456 children to date, although the true figure is likely to be much higher because Russia has targeted vulnerable children without anyone to speak for them. Yale's Humanitarian Research Lab places the number of deported children closer to 35,000 as of March 19th, 2025. And Putin's Children's Rights Commissioner, Maria Lvova, against whom the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant in March of 2023 for her role in abducting children, claimed that Russia has accepted 700,000 Ukrainian children between February 2022 and July 2023, a terrifying benchmark for the lengths that Russia is willing to go to rob Ukraine of its own people. Let's see. There's one other. I'm not going to read the entire thing. International law expressly forbids the forcible transfer of children from one group to another for the purposes of destroying in whole or in part the national or a national or ethnic group, and considers these violations as constituent acts of genocide.
Yes.
The crimes against children have been well documented and started before the war. Putin signed a decree in May of 2022 providing for a simplified procedure for the acquisition of Russian citizenship for children from Ukraine who were, quote, left without parental care and incapacitated persons. Children left with, okay, which amounted to the legalization of processing deported Ukrainian children and forcibly granting them Russian citizenship. With the framework laid before the full-scale invasion, the Russian occupation officials have blatantly advertised programs that take Ukrainian children from their homes in occupied Ukraine to Russia under a variety of guises, such as camps for their supported rest, relaxation, and rehabilitation. As of March 19th, Zaporizhzhia Oblast occupation held, let's see, plans to remove some, well, I think we're going to get to that. All right, So, long story short, they planned, even before this, to take as many children as they could. They built an infrastructure, including the legalization of or naturalization of these children into Russia, and have been, unfortunately, doing a lot with them. Today, we welcome a guest, Lucy Haza,
Haza.
to
Haza.
Haza, sorry,
Yes, yes.
to join us to discuss what is happening with Ukrainian children in Russia. Lucy, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you very much. The story of the kidnapping of children is actually a very interesting one because it starts with in 2014, even before that, with a figure that is described as the Russian Mother Teresa, a lady that has been working. She received international fame for her supporting the homeless, supporting the downtrodden of Russia. She became an official member of the Russian government, and she was responsible for laying down the groundwork, the infrastructural groundwork that enabled Russia to, in an effective way, kidnap children from Ukrainian territories.
And I just,
She died in an accident, and then the mention in the article, Lvova Belova, I'm never sure how to pronounce her name. The lady that is the representative for the rights of children, that of course also supports and actively takes part in the kidnapping of children. The one who is also, there are 2 arrest warrants currently on Putin himself and on her. But the kidnapping infrastructure was developed by Dr. Lisa, the Russian Mother Teresa. There's a whole documentary about her, actually.
all right, real quick, just because we got 2 super chats. Dunk on you, $20. Working but listening. This is so very important. Thank you, sir. Slava Ukrainian. Well, thank you. I'd like to thank Lucy. It was Lucy's idea. Lucy approached us with coming on to discuss this, and I think it's in fact, well, I'll get to that in a second. And also Dunk on You gave us gifted 5 memberships, so thank you, Dunk on You, for your continued support. We really do appreciate it. Broadcast Cat, yeah, that's when you work on In Time, you got to be subtle. You got to move like that. So Lucy, you're actually just back from Ukraine.
Yes, I've returned. I've returned very recently, just a few days ago. Yes, just last week I was still in Ukraine doing various type of interviews mainly with 2 organizations. Save Ukraine, which focuses on rescuing children, on the children that are in Russia or in occupied territories. They contact the organization and they organize rescue. The intricacies of the rescue operations themselves, of course, are secret, because if they spoke about it with journalists or anyone else, it could potentially compromise future rescue operations. But other than that, we know, like, certain parts of the operations are known, but a lot of them are kept secret. They actually do more than that. They rescue the children, and then after they rescue the children, they give them temporary housing. They have special accommodations for that. They help parents who potentially are in any financial or psychological trouble. They offer them assistance as well, in order for them to be able to get back on their feet. So there's a very comprehensive support for the families, not just rescuing, but also the aftercare of the children.
And I think I cut you off. So they started this in 2017.
2014. Oh, the rescue to save Ukraine.
No, sorry, the actual kidnappings. Yeah,
2014. It started from the beginning of the conflict. Yeah. The infrastructure was put in place by the so-called Russian Mother Teresa, who had a very positive international opinion because of her work towards helping the downtrodden, which is sadly became her legacy became laying down the groundwork for the kidnapping of children.
Mm. So, what is Russia's interest in this? Why they clearly have planned this, and it's not an accident. It's not just an opportunity that arose. It's something that they've been very deliberate about. Why is that, do you think?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. One of them is, of course, because Russia is in a demographic crisis, and rather than try to do any sensible, what's the English word? I'm forgetting. I've been forgetting words lately. Policy. Any sensible policy to combat the demographic crisis that Russia has been, I think, tackling since the 90s, I believe. They kidnap Ukrainian children to basically bolster their numbers. That is a very crude way to say it, but that is actually one of the reasons. The other is, of course, to erase Ukrainian as a people. That is a very common method that is used in war. As we know, Nazi Germany has been doing that en masse towards Polish people, Ukrainian people as well. Slavic people, they've been kidnapped and moved to Nazi Germany to be raised as Germans. My grandfather was actually, in a way, one such child that was kidnapped from Poland and moved into Germany. But in his case, he was moved to a concentration camp along with my great grandfather, and then adopted, sort of, in a way, rescued from the camp and adopted by a German family.
And the according to Yale University, the numbers of children kidnapped, again, very hard to tell. And Russia has claimed credit for taking 700,000, which is fortunately unlikely that it's that high. Ukraine can only confirm about 20,000.
It's a bit
Yale says it's about
complicated
35.
because both of these numbers, in a way, are true. 20,000 is true and hundreds of thousands are true because we have to differentiate two different types of children. And I think a lot of the media does not do a very good work to distinguishing the two different groups of children that are being kidnapped. One is unaccompanied children that don't have any guardians, don't have anyone with them, and that's the 20,000 number of unaccompanied children that don't have anybody, like in the direct vicinity, because a lot of them do have somebody, but they're just not close by. So they are counted as unaccompanied, and they are kidnapped to Russia, right? But there are also accompanied children that are with families, guardians, loved ones, for example, in occupied territories. And they are forcefully, by coercion, moved by Russia into Russia by the hundreds of thousands. So you have to sort of differentiate between these two different groups.
Of the unaccompanied,
And the
numbers
unaccompanied children
by
are the children that are, sorry to interrupt, those are the children that are basically considered to be to meet the criteria of genocide under the UN Convention of Prevention and Punishment of Genocide.
And those numbers, according to Yale now, equal the number that was taken by Nazi Germany in the Nazification of Poland. Is that accurate?
I think so. Which is, of course, why I'm interested in the topic, because it is a little bit personal.
Zandering, how are you?
I am hot and driving through the middle of nowhere.
At 120 degrees.
Yeah.
No, it's only 112.
We've all
112, my
been.
bad. Did you have any questions, or did you want to sit and listen for a little bit? I don't know how long you had been here, or if there's anything you wanted to ask about.
Not yet. I
Not yet.
just finally got enough service to actually connect. I've been trying for 15 minutes and it's not been working well.
All right, it's yeah, no worries. Lucy was apparently briefly Dylan Burns, is my understanding. I don't know. It's just going to be one of those shows, I guess.
Sorry, what about Dylan
So
Burns?
somebody in the live chat erroneously claimed that it said Dylan Burns for your name title instead of Lucy. So I don't know why
I had a
they
name
say
title
that.
of Dylan Burns.
No professional show would ever make that mistake. So I don't know that was the rumor. Somebody started it in the live chat. I don't know why, obviously, to make me look foolish.
Vicious slander.
Exactly. You see, his Andring knows what he's talking about.
I see.
Um,
Listen, maybe I
so,
just am secretly Dylan Burns.
yeah. So Russia kidnaps these children, and in general, these let's talk about the 20,000. It makes them Russian citizens as quickly as possible. It has an expedited system that it put in place before the war explicitly for doing this. What happens to the children at that point?
When they are kidnapped?
Yes.
They are put there. There are a couple, of course. They are put in the Russian school system. That is very obvious. They are put into adoption, of course. My gosh, so many things happen. Russia, of course, does anything in its power for the children to be not possible to identify, unidentifiable. Yes, that's the term.
To make it so that they can't be retrieved. Give them
Yeah,
names to
their
make it so
names
that
are
their original
changed.
identities are
Their
wiped
names
out.
are changed. Their dates of birth are changed. Interestingly enough, all that is changed. They're put through the Russian school system. Of course, the younger the age, the more difficult it is for the organizations such as Save Ukraine to identify them. When you are when you're dealing with infants, it is basically impossible to do so. Like, they are hoping that maybe some AI technology will be able to recognize infant-aged children. But right now, basically, if a less than a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 1-year-old child is kidnapped, it is considered impossible to retrieve that child, basically, because they don't know who they are. They cannot identify themselves. They definitely cannot contact the organization, and they all look very similar at that age.
Well, and 3 years later, even the parents wouldn't be able to identify them after 3 years.
Yeah. So it's difficult. And very early on, the children are peer pressured. Of course, Ukrainian is being mocked. There's a big pressure to just relearn Russian. The children are being told by Russia that they are not really wanted in Ukraine anymore, that their parents have abandoned them, that they have no future in Ukraine, that the only future that they have is in Russia, to learn Russian, to become Russian, and in most cases, when it comes to the boys, to eventually join the Russian army. that is the best trajectory in life for them, and to that effect, they are not just put into the Russian school system, where they learn Russian, where they become Russified effectively, but they are highly encouraged to join Russian military organizations such as the very successful Yunarmia. Yunarmia is a paramilitary organization for the youth when they practice and train for their future military service. It is a state organized organization, and which involves high-level celebrities. It is very, there is a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of prestige surrounded joining that organization. It is a very, very deliberate system to militarize as many children as possible. And of course, children are, which baffled me the most, which shocked me the most, children, not just kidnapped, but also Russian children, are told, among other things, that World War II never ended and the fight against the Nazis continues.
Yeah, that's the one that's I think that's an evolving narrative, but it's one that really, I mean, it was part of the narrative for the initial invasion was they had to denazify Ukraine. The idea that World War II never ended and that they're really essentially still, dear Lord. How many of these children, if any, are actually being deployed against Ukraine?
Basically, all that finish 18 years old, or rather reach 18 years old, are being asked to join. Children as young as 15 years old already receive summons. You have to prepare for the military, you have to prepare. That is what I've been told by the Save Ukraine organizations, that children as young as 15 already start receiving gentle nudges by the Russian government that it is time to prepare mentally for joining the military. And of course, there are soldiers visiting the school that talk about very very how lucrative a career being a soldier is, how actually death in the service of the country is not as scary or bad as it might seem. Stuff like that.
Well, somebody needs to keep Steven Seagal employed, I guess. Dear Lord. In your interviews, what are some of the more shocking things that you've learned? You've already said that, learning that they think that World War II is still going on. What else have you learned in your interviews?
And things like, when it comes to the kidnapped children, things like a girl being, because in some cases these children have relatives in Ukraine and they've been taken to Russia with a living relative, and the relative, for example, died in Russia, and the children are alone, and the Ukrainian relative is trying to retrieve the child to take care of it, and they're not allowed. And for example, one girl was told that there is absolutely nothing in Ukraine. There's only rubble. Ukraine is a big wasteland. There's no electricity. There's nothing. And finally, when she was able to go to Ukraine, she genuinely looked around surprised and said, "But I thought there was nothing here. I thought I've been made to believe that there's nothing here." Another shocking thing is when there are children living in Russia and occupied territories with their parents. Children are being effectively turned into spies against their own parents, because at school there's this big element of teachers being respected, teachers having a lot of authority, and teachers are to be listened to. And when a child hears at home that Ukraine is a real place that exists, and then they go to school and hear Ukraine is not a place and Ukraine is not a real separate entity, there's no such thing as Ukraine, they go home and tell their parents things like, "My teacher told me there's no such thing as Ukraine." And at that point, the parents have a choice. They can either correct the child, teach them the reality of the situation, that Ukraine is absolutely a place, it exists, it is a separate country. But at that point, they risk that the child will go to school again and say, "But teacher, my parents told me that Ukraine does exist." At which point, again, the parents will be visited by very unruly people and asked questions or more. And the alternative is for the parents to basically be quiet about it, and this erodes the trust between children and their parents. So that is
Well,
one
and
shocking thing.
I know you know this, and I do want to hear more, but I want to interrupt here because this is a topic that I care about quite deeply for a number of reasons, which is the book 1984. 1984 is a seminal work for so many reasons and important for so many reasons. But one of them is it shows you what the Soviet mindset, especially under Stalin, was. It's the book isn't fiction. It was mirrored after that and fictionalized, very much like Animal Farm. You could sit there and say Animal Farm is fiction. Well, of course it is. The pigs don't talk,
Yeah,
horses don't. But it's all based on very real things that were
dynamics. Yeah,
happening. In 1984, the situation you described is actually one of the most terrifying situations in the book, which is the parents that Winston's going by an apartment, and the parents are terrified of the children. It reminds me of that Twilight Zone episode where this girl has unlimited God powers, and her parents, her brother, everybody's terrified of her because every little tantrum, and she could just wipe somebody from existence. And the kids who are not, their brains are not developed, their children
yeah.
have enormous power, disproportionate power in the home, and the reason is all they have to do is report you to the secret police, and they could do it just because they're interested in rising politically themselves. They could do it because they're angry with you. They could do it for any reason, but if
Or
they
they could
report
just
you,
know it, unknowingly by being curious as to
yep,
why what they hear from their parents differs from what they hear from their teachers.
yep. So you were describing that, and it's one of the most terrifying scenes in the book where the family unit is absolutely destroyed because the teachers, if the teachers find out that you are not engaged in orthodox thinking, they can
Yeah.
turn you in, and it's yeah. Anyways, I never missed the opportunity to draw a parallel to 1984. Anyways, you were saying things that you had learned that
So
were
that's
surprising. That was one of them.
one of the also shocking things was during my first interview with Save Ukraine, I heard some really shocking, I guess, and disturbing stories of the children themselves. One such story was a child, a very young boy, who was living with his father in Russia, and I think I'm not sure it was. I think it was closer to the actual front lines because or occupied territories actually, because the child's father would be taken to the basement. That's the euphemism, and beaten regularly, and he would return home to the boy all bruised up and beaten. And in order to go uh, anywhere, the boy would have to actually go. This was described to me pretty vividly. To go outside, and the boy would have to basically go around dead bodies of soldiers to go anywhere where he was outside. And for
Jesus.
a very little child, that sort of thing is, you can imagine, quite traumatic. When the child was rescued, brought to Ukraine, he would not speak. He would wet himself for about 2 months, and only through very meticulous therapy he would be able to get out of that state. So that's one of the most shocking stories that I've heard.
Right. Johnny Negregard, 22 Norwegian kroner. Hello, time travelers. Slava Ukrainia. Heroyam Slava. Spasibo Bolshoya. Thank you so much for the super chat and your continued support, Johnny. We really do appreciate it. Russia has been ordered to return all the children. As you pointed out, there's actually really no way to do that. They could certainly return a number of them that they appear to have made no significant effort. They have returned some.
There's been a very infamous exchange between the Ukrainian and Russian side during one of the peace negotiations. I think there was a demand of, was it 50 children to return them by the Ukrainian side, or 40 something children? And
for that exchange, yeah.
yeah, and Russia said that they could discuss returning a few of them, and added that Ukraine should not try to appeal to old, childless European ladies with that sort of talk. So that is Russia's attitude when it comes to returning the children. They have no intention to do so, and I am very worried that as much as for Ukraine, not returning the children might be a deal breaker, I'm afraid that the other parties involved might not see it that way, especially people like Donald Trump.
Well, and to wit, there's been a number of right-wing media outlets that have said, well, Russia has returned most of the children. In fact,
No.
Russia has returned about 1,000 total, just over 1,000. I think it's 1,200 total, which represents at a minimum about 5% of what they've taken. At a minimum, at the just sort
Yes.
of best estimates, it's less than 5% of what they've taken that have been returned. And I think returned is being used very broadly here. It includes kids that they didn't really take, so that were maybe in custody as lines moved, and instead of kidnapping and taking them back, they return them and say, we have now returned a child. It's one they didn't take. So those numbers are, but in the US, there is a growing consensus, including Donald Trump, that, well, Russia's really returned these kids. And so that's, yeah.
That is horrifying, actually. That is horrifying. And, well, there are Ukrainian organizations that are, of course, actively trying to rescue those children on their own. The children contact the organization via various social media and other means, and then the meticulous and difficult rescue operation begins with various secret methods for the child to meet up with the people that will move them across the border. There are two routes as far as I understand. One, which is the official route of gathering the documents, getting stuff done through the Russian government, and retrieving the children through the official Russian border. And the other method, which actually involves taking the children through the border that is much closer to the front line where the danger lurks. I actually really wanted to go near the front line to witness such a rescue operation, but that is something that is not easy to organize. Apparently in the past, there was a bus of children near the border and the front line that was rescued, and they were en route to safety and they were hit by a drone, so.
We've had a number of frontline combatants on this show, and it's a
and war journalists.
Very difficult. Yeah, and journalists. Yes, we have. We won't name any. We have some that we may have had recently, and
very recently
emblazoned on. Yeah. All right. You know what? You're a guest here. I'm just reminding you. Make one mistake, screw up one name, do a little misgendering.
Lucy, Dylan, it's all the same.
Exactly.
It's
you can see how someone could make that mistake.
The long hair.
Yeah. I don't see why people are like, okay, I don't see why people give me such a hard time about this. This is still a professional operation.
Yeah.
It really is.
The only difference between us is that I haven't gone to the front line.
So, and the only difference between us and say 60 Minutes is we haven't bribed the president with $60 million. Anyways, I couldn't help it.
If you
I am,
bribe Donald Trump $60 million, I'm going to be a little upset.
Just give him a
Imagine.
expensive plane.
Yeah, I'll just call the Qataris and say, listen, can you order up a second one of those planes or just those? I'm sure actually I'd much rather have that golden McDonald's truck that just followed him around. It was part of the presidential convoy while he was in Qatar was the McDonald's truck. We had a picture of that. That was insane. That was insane. So I did want to point out to everyone as Andring is here, but out in the desert has some connection issues. I'm not sure if you've heard enough or you feel like you confident that there is a question you could or would want to ask. I want to make sure you get the opportunity, but I'm aware that you really have not been able to hear the full show. So if you had anything you wanted to ask, I want to give you the opportunity while you hopefully still can.
Yeah, you would think that if you had given me any kind of notice about we were doing a show and what time it was going to be and what it was going to be about, that I would have made because I'm a consummate professional, I would have totally gotten to an area where I had decent coverage instead of being out in the middle of the red desert, the Mojave.
Mojave.
That I would I wouldn't be wandering around in the desert. At least it shouldn't hopefully take me 40 days to figure out how to get out. So Google Maps is a wonderful thing. So yeah,
Well,
I blame you. So
you blame but I did tell you. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna have to show receipts. I'm gonna have to okay. Things just got. And by the way, it was 40. First of all, it was 40 years. Second of all, it was 40 years to go a distance you could walk in 13 days. And to correct Titan, Nick does not give notice to anyone. That is not true. Everybody saw when I gave Titan notice of a show, the show was starting. And everybody saw that because I gave them that notice about 30 minutes after the show had started. But they saw me do it. So there was absolute proof. I gave them notice, and I really did. I sent them the notice.
To be fair, I've been given notice in advance.
You see, Dylan got Lucy got notice.
Yes.
okay, well, you stick to your story. I'll stick to mine. And
okay,
with listening to some of the issues, it's like we got a real life, underground railroad going on, trying to rescue children that have been, abducted and are now being indoctrinated to and manipulated to essentially hate or question their origins and not want to go back, which unfortunately is a fairly easy thing to do with children, especially because they're trying to fit in as well. They don't want to be outcast.
Yeah.
So we're talking about very weighty subjects, and then being out in the desert, California does weird things with truck speed limits, so I'm not legally able to go the speed all the other cars are, but I have to be able to pass people. And somebody is so petty that they flip me off. It's like I'm listening about a real life underground tragedy that's going on in the other part of the world, and somebody is so butthurt that they had to wait 30 seconds to get around me that they're going to flip me off. It's like doing this show has definitely put kind of the world in perspective.
Yes. I mean, the part about peer pressure, the need to fit in is definitely true. That is definitely a part of, if you do not speak Russian, if you speak Ukrainian, you're treated worse, you are being laughed at, and basically you are being made to believe that this life is the only one that you have left. There is no going back till your parents have abandoned you, they don't need you, or are gone. So yeah, that definitely. And there's the element of yes.
I was to say, what are the success levels? You mentioned the two different pathways for trying to get children back. What are like the percentages? I hate to say percentages, but what kind of success level is each strategy achieving? Is it like very difficult and they're only getting a few, or are they getting more?
Or getting a few. As far as I understand, a couple of hundred of children have been rescued by Save Ukraine. I would need to check the actual number. They say, but it's difficult because it all has to be done in absolute secrecy. It's like a spy movie. Like the elements that I've been told is basically, hey, go to this tree by this bench, and then you will receive instructions to go there, and therein you will have a contact and do this, and then you'll be able to be rescued. Because obviously this is a very delicate and secretive operation, being whisked away from a country where you've been adopted into a whole new family and you're being made to start a brand new life. And of course, it all depends on the age of the child. If they can pull it, like, there at certain age, the children have a pretty solid idea of who they are, what their real name is, their identity. But at a younger age, it's much easier to mold them into a completely new persona without them even realizing it.
Well, and it's
what kind of? Go ahead.
That was, at least as far as Russia's concerned, it's kidnapping, and I suspect Russia does not take that very lightly. And you also do want to be careful that you got the right kid, because if you got the wrong kid, it is kidnapping.
Yes.
And you don't want to be.
Well, usually the children. That's the thing. Usually the children contact the organization themselves.
Okay.
That's how the system works. They are, hey, I'm here.
I would imagine there's a.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's also, trying to do more clandestine means to try and get children back is also a way for, propaganda to be put in to discredit those kinds of efforts as well. It's like, oh, look at all the underhanded things they're literally trying to kidnap our children. So I imagine that makes things a little bit more difficult as well from the, propaganda side.
Yeah.
How much, what kind of support structures are in place for the parents in Ukraine that are trying to get their children back? Is there a lot of group support for the parents in Ukraine, or is it getting a little overshadowed possibly by frontline activity with just the war in general?
The organization I've mentioned, Save Ukraine, they actually, because there are situations that enters a whole different subject that I have not even touched yet on this show. That subject of the foster care system in Ukraine that Save Ukraine, the organization, for example, hates with a passion. It is said that because of the inaction and indecisiveness of the headmasters of said orphanages, the children have not been sent out deeper into Ukraine, and therefore Russia was able to easier kidnap them, because they were waiting for instructions from the government instead of taking decisive action themselves. And Save Ukraine actually, from what I've talked to them, have said that they actually, one of their stated goals is to dismantle the Ukrainian foster care children and to make sure that all the children just get a family without being stuck in that system. And to sort of get into it more, the support system is actually quite robust, at least when it comes to Save Ukraine, because there are children that have found themselves in the foster system not because they're children, but for example because their parents have had a very difficult financial situations. They could not take care of them, or the parents had problems with alcohol, problems with psychological problems. And Save Ukraine actually takes those prior situations and, upon rescuing the children, offer the parents themselves psychological help or help in finding a job, help in finding housing. The families are actually offered temporary housing. They're not fancy houses. They are those little areas where you have a series of little wooden barracks, I guess, little houses in which the families live for a few months at least, where the children receive mental health care, therapy, and many other things that they need after being kidnapped. And the parents themselves receive a lot of support. And of course, there are situations, because as we've discussed, there are two ways of rescuing the children. And one of the ways is that the organization prepares the parent themselves to go to Russia and retrieve the child themselves, because Russia often says, if you want the child back, the parent has to go there themselves and retrieve them.
I'm amazed that they even permit any of that. I suspect that that's a small
They
number
put
that
roadblocks.
successfully.
They definitely put roadblocks.
Yeah. So, all right. Before I have, I would like you to talk about the organizations that you've been working with. But before we do that, was there anything that you wanted to talk about that we have not hit on yet? Because I want to make sure that we've hit all the important
I guess I
areas.
wanted to talk about the fact that my scope has broadened a little bit ever since I started covering the topic of children, and that is, I started with the kidnapped children, and then it broadened into Ukrainian children just affected by this war in general, like how they cope with the war. There's the second organization that I have started working with. It is called the Voices of Children, and they just offer free psychological help to children whose families just cannot afford to grant them such help, and that has been pretty enlightening as well. When I went to Kharkiv, we went to a village near Kharkiv where the Voices of Children organizes group sessions for children that have been affected by war, so that they can get away from it for a bit and find a safe place to play, have therapy one-on-one if needed. I've had quite a few interesting conversations with parents and children who underwent a lot of trauma due to losing friends, experiencing bombing in very close proximity, and then doing therapy work to overcome that.
And we've got Blonde Bombsheller gifted 10 in-time memberships. Blonde Bombsheller, also another supporter of the channel. Thank you very much, Blonde Bombsheller, for those memberships. We really do appreciate it, and it does help a lot. So thank you for that.
No message?
I had it was just it was gifted 10 memberships. We don't allow her to super chat messages because they're usually like phenomenally insulting towards one of the hosts. I won't say which one, but I don't know why. There's just like, some hosts seem to draw more fire than others.
Yes.
So with that, please do send me a list of the organizations that you've got, and I will put it in the description that you work with, and I will put
Okay, I'll do it after
information.
Is that okay if I do it after the show?
Yeah, no, yeah. It doesn't have to be done right now.
I've primarily
As soon as
worked
we're done.
with two, but I might be start working with another. Anastasia told me that there's a really good organization in Kharkiv. She actually saved them from bankruptcy. They were getting very close to having to close up, but she was able to help them with getting the finance to stay afloat, which is a great thing. And I believe their name is Dusha Kharkiv, which means the soul of Kharkiv. Kharkiv, yeah, the soul. Dusha means soul in Slavic languages, I should say, because it's the same in Polish. Yes.
We will definitely put the link for that in the description. And then what's the other organization you're working with?
I'm working with Save Ukraine. They rescue children from Russian occupied territories. It is a pretty famous organization. And then there's a little bit less known Golosy Детей. It's the Voices of Children. They organize mental health care assistance to children affected by war.
And could you tell us a little bit about your channel? We're dropping the link, and the link is in the description, but tell us a bit about it and what people can find there.
Well, I'm Lucy Haza. I am, even though I am technically speaking a micro streamer, I'm still the biggest Polish trans Jewish content creator, political content creator. I discuss the news. I usually discuss the war, some Polish politics, like I've discussed the Polish presidential election recently, which will have its own ramifications. It will have its own little. It's all messy and complicated. I do history. I'm a little bit of a history nerd. I especially like to focus on the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth period, which is when the union between the Kingdom of Poland and the Great Duchy of Lithuania. Ukraine was also part of that in a also quite a complicated way. It's always all very complicated. And I also do gaming because streamers have to do gaming. And languages much more rarely. And art. I
Well,
also am a little bit of an artist. I draw.
and you've been on before, and we've certainly appreciated your extensive history knowledge. I think we had you on with Commander, and you held your own with him, which is hard to do when it comes to military history. So kudos. Lucy, thank you very much for joining us and for explaining the situation to us. It's not covered as much as it should be, and again,
Yes, yes.
it's not easy to
As
talk about. And
I'm very happy to have been invited. As the Burns family must, be propagated.
Oh God, I should have just kept my mouth shut about that one. I'm learning in life that I am the cause of 90% of my own woes. I am my own worst enemy.
Okay,
Before we go,
I
actually,
might need to, yeah. I might need to
I do have
rebrand
one.
to Lucy Burns, I
Yeah,
guess.
Lucy Burns.
Uh,
I do want to ask you one question because this is something we touched on briefly in the green room, and I had mentioned at the beginning, which is how hard this can be. These kinds of shows aren't necessarily very popular. It's because they're downers, and nobody wants to. But they're extraordinarily important. You've been interviewing these people. You've been talking to people who work in the recovery of children, and
yeah,
in a field where because of what we've just talked about, and we've gone over it, the success rates are going to be low no matter what you do.
yeah.
You're going to have some
It's gonna be
success, but
difficult, yeah.
yeah. So how do you keep sane when you hear these stories? How do you keep yourself motivated and going forward um, when you get steeped in this 24/7?
Well, I guess I'm motivated because it reminds me of my family story with my grandfather being kidnapped when he was a child, when he and my great grandfather were taken to a German camp when my great grandfather died, and then my grandfather was taken to a German family. So it sort of resonates with me, the story of children being kidnapped, stripped of their identity, and I just think it's important. I I'm trying to raise funds to go back there again, of course, and to touch upon some topics which will be a little bit more difficult to do. The one of the more difficult stories I've heard about, again from a psychologist, because I of course interview psychologists as well, was a girl that was walking in the territory that was occupied and just dragged into an alley by a bunch of soldiers, dragged and then sexually assaulted. And there are many, many stories like that, it's a topic that I think should be talked about, but it is not easy to discuss, to get in to a place of discussing these things. So because there's a lot of trauma involved. So I believe the most I will be able to do is to discuss the cases with the psychologist.
All right. Well, I think it's extraordinarily important work. I'm glad you reached out to us about it. So, because you contacted me, and Again, you've been on before, so it wasn't like
Yeah.
a shock. It was nice to hear, and I'm glad that we could do the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who has supported the stream, to everyone who has become a member, and to our patrons. You guys are what keep us going, and hopefully we can bring you more shows like this in the future.
Yes.
Thank you to Xandering, who made a concerted effort to be here. It's
From the Red
sometimes
Desert.
it's easy. Yeah, he's as you may recall, he's a trucker. If he happens to be in a city, he's all good. If he happens to be out in the Mojave, which he is sometimes, good luck. So, but definitely always important, I think, to have him here as well.
Yeah.
Our next scheduled show is Thursday. It will be Downtime with Commander Lance McMillan. However, we're trying to get special guests with us. Hopefully we can get them. I've been chatting with them. They don't know if they're free yet. We're going to figure it out. We may move the time. We may move the time, Titan.
Yes.
Gotta watch
It could
that-
be
gotta
good
watch
to
that
get
too.
more, and I'm gonna leave it vague as to what it means. But it could be good to have more Dylan on.
So, yeah, it's not Dylan.
It would be great to have more Dylan on.
No, yeah, all right. We get it. We need a new producer.
But
I
it could be good
understand.
to have more actual Dylan on.
Yes, it could. It would be. We got to get Dylan back on too. So, all right. So, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern for Downtime, or any breaking news, which I wouldn't shock me if there wasn't breaking news like right now, and we'll be breaking live in 30 seconds.
Yeah, we'll be
It's
shooting
happened
nukes.
before. Yeah, oh God. Yeah, submarines
The
to redeploy.
submarines.
Oh my God, when will it end? Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you Thursday. Have a good night.
All right. Well, what do I do now?
Just hang on a sec.
You're still
All right,
visible.
we're
You're-
out. So
Yes, you're,
Yep,
but you're
yep.
still in it on my end. Just so you know.
I'm still in on your end. Okay, so I'm gonna take off my coat because, and
You cannot
there you
use
go.
any slurs.
I'll try to refrain. I'll try to restrain myself because I was so tempted. I was just waiting on all those slurs until we went to
Yeah.
the credits. Very, very good show. Oh God, Titan said bad news. There really is breaking news, and I don't think he's joking. So let me check and see what he's talking about.
There is. Also, thank you for all
I
the
don't-
people that joined, the new viewers, hopefully that will join on a regular basis to the tune of me playing
Oh,
Expedition
dear Lord, enjoy.
33. Oh, what happened?
Well, we have a
Just
thing here
a
where
hobby.
Texas is trying to gerrymander.
Oh God,
And,
Texas.
Yeah, and 50 of their Democratic congressmen fled the state, so there wouldn't be a quorum. Trump has now directed the FBI to apprehend them.
Apprehend the
Blatantly
Democratic.
illegal.
Yes. I actually have family in Texas,
My condolences.
in Austin.
Yes, thank you.
Wow.
Thank
the
you.
FBI
Thank you
has-
very much, Braith Miller. Yes, I do have relatives in Austin, Texas. Very nice people. Although, unfortunately, yeah, there's been some bad news from the family. All right. So what do I do? Do I
Yes.
disconnect? Do I?
You can just disconnect whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Okay. Thank you.
And then Xander, you can stick around for a sec.
Oh.
You there, Xander?
Yes.
How do
Can you
I?
hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
leave
I can.
out.
So, yeah, all right. Have a good. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Uh,
Okay, so whoever chooses to stick around, we can, play, because I've just did the stream to sort of do this thing, but now if you wish, you can watch me fumble and stumble in Expedition 33 if you've not Do you know Expedition? Do my new viewers know Expedition 33? Any gamers? And thank you, by the way. Thank you. It is that is a big topic for me. The children and a lot of the children that I interview want to be future football/soccer players. By the way, I have not mentioned that because I didn't feel it was important, but a lot of future football/soccer stars training in wartime conditions. There's a very cool anecdote about a boy that there was a bombing and a building next to his house crumbled due to being bombed, and he became terrified of the event and spent a lot of his time in the corridor, never leaving the corridor of his apartment. And he received psychological help. The sport for lesbians. That is what I said, actually. I'd never call it brain dead. I said it was the sport for lesbians. But he was very afraid. He wouldn't leave the corridor. Panic attacks. And he received help from the organization, the Voices of Children, Głosy Dzieci. And there was this one time when he was practicing soccer/football with his peers, and suddenly there was a missile strike very near them, an explosion, and all the children fell on the ground, started panicking. But because he went through the therapy, he went through the exercises, he knew exactly what to do, he calmed them down, he grouped them up, and he took them to a shelter. He did not panic, and he made the entire group not panic, but to, in an orderly fashion, go to a shelter. So that is, like, in a very horrifying context, a very, at the end of the day, wholesome story, isn't it? Do you not think there is an element of wholesomeness to something like that? I'm mostly. I'm not a big fan of football/soccer myself, but you know. But there are a lot of people passionate about it. A lot of kids in Ukraine very passionate about it. I usually ask the kids in interviews what position they play in, and they very eagerly tell me. It's very interesting. But yeah, does anybody have any questions from the audience? Since I seem to have gained about 2 new viewers, 2 new people. Wait, oh wow, okay, more than just 2. We have jumped. That is very nice. But for now, I only prepared for this, so we can do some gaming now with Expedition 33. So I guess I will ask again. Also, I have a page. I have a special page from which you can watch the streams. It's called lucyhaza.org/live. Oh, that's not what I want to do. lucyhaza.org/live, where you can what the hell? I did not. It works. I can see it. I can see the hypers. So I can see it. There you go, that's the link. So if anybody would like to join and watch from here, thank you very much in advance. You can join this page in order to be able to support what I do, which is I am gathering funds for Ukraine related projects and to be able to go back to Ukraine and do more work around the children. But no, I have not lose any theme. Whoops. I think my dog is outside right now. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Any questions regarding anything that I've talked about? Anything that you think I've not managed to explain or talk about or touch upon? Very interesting that for a big chunk of the discussion I've been labeled as Dylan Burns. Went really well, a bit low energy, but that's not bad. Listen, I'm just a low energy person, okay? I'm not, then again, I don't know. First of all, I'm Polish, and Polish people are low energy by default, I think. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Polish people are not super hyper in general. And the second thing is that I'm not sure I'm not sure if it would be appropriate for me to be like, you know, super hyper when discussing this particular topic. You know, I feel like being a little bit quieter and more somber, it felt a little bit appropriate in the context of children being kidnapped. Who is Dylan Burns? Dylan Burns is a war journalist that goes to Ukraine. He's currently in the United States to spend some time with family. He goes to the front line and interviews soldiers. He produces documentaries based on his work on the front line. Zemsta? Your perspective. So that would be to the right. Bottom? Wait, hold on. Zemsta? Oh, yeah. The Night of Murderers. Hold on, I'm gonna take the book. You seem to be curious about it. Zemsta is about the Jewish people that want revenge for the Holocaust. That's pretty self-explanatory, but it's about Jewish people, because there were Jewish people that obviously wanted revenge for the Dieter Schenk, The Night of the Murderers. The kaźń polskich profesorów w Lwowie i Holokaust w Galicji Wschodniej. So the torturing of the Polish professor in Lviv and the Holocaust in Eastern Galicia. That's the book. The Night of the Murderers. Interesting book. So I think that's what you were asking me about. I understand, but at some point it was as if you were falling asleep, which again is fine. I just feel like the discussion could have been better. Yeah, sorry, I've been a little bit nervous. Also, to be fair, I am quite sleep deprived. I am quite tired. I've been streaming all night, okay? And then without being able to sleep much at all, I went because I had to meet with my lawyer today. So I straight almost, like, I rested a little bit and I got up. I went to the city and met up with a lawyer. I came back after spending the day, and then I did this. Yeah, I'm really trying to get to gather that funding. Where did you meet with a lawyer? Because I have an ongoing feud with a person regarding inheritance. It's been going on for 5 years. Very depressing topic, actually, to me. The topic of an inheritance feud. Yep. I have no complaints about the performance. Personally, I think it was an appropriate level of energy for the subject matter. Well, thank you. Thank you, Greater Rain. You are my cheerleader. That makes me happy. I think Incub thinks I was too low energy because Incub is just used to Dylan Burns levels of energy, and I was labeled Dylan Burns, so I did not quite deliver the Dylan Burns, you know? Maybe that's why. I have the same thing in my family. Inheritance stuff can be nasty. Oh yeah. It can be brutal as hell. We don't see the game? It's impossible. Oh, that's why. Full screen. Now you should be able to see the game, hopefully. In this case, we're not even feuding against a family member, but this gets complicated. My father decided to gift something in a will to somebody, and that person decided that they might get more. That's the TLDR of the situation, and it's not very pretty. That's messed up, actually. And I hate it. Oh, not Sekiro. I just had a very, very emotionally draining interview, Zoshelix, okay? Did you catch the interview with In Times about the children?
Nice.
Nice, true, nice. So I think I deserve a little bit of downtime with Expedition, you know? After having this nice interview, which I will turn into a segment, which hopefully people will watch. We're still struggling to become, you know, this channel has to become a small streamer channel from micro streamer. Wait, your father willed his property, not... He willed a lot of it to his children, but he willed one thing to someone else, and that somebody thinks they can get more. That's the TLDR. It's always the people that shouldn't get anything that want the most in these cases. Yes. Like, I'm sorry, I'm at the point where I look at what you wrote and I'm just like, yes, actually. That is absolutely true. It is depressingly true. Like, for all the disagreements that I've had with you in the past, I look at that sentence and, God, I have to so bitterly agree with what you just said. That is depressing. I don't like being bitter, you know. I don't like the fact that I agree with this, but it's true. Fighting over a dead relative is the worst. I never understood. Like, It's basically just happening in the background. Like it's been 5 years. The thing has started before the full-scale invasion in Ukraine has ever happened. And depending on what we'll do, this will just be stalled for another 2 or 3 years. So, crazy. Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei is a really good game. This is an excellent game, by the way. Also, somebody should consider gifting Greater Ain't a subscription so that they are not white. I think I might go grab an ice cream. I think my brother bought me an ice cream. I don't think I have. Can you link me a ROM and I'll play it on stream? I better dodge this well, because in the future, right now it's low damage, but in the future it will be high damage. Good to speak, can be explicit. Oh, can you sell me the cartridge? Yeah, I meant, can you sell me the cartridge so that I can use my capture card to, on my original Super Nintendo, to play on stream. Obviously.
Let's carve a path.
This is my genre. JRPGs are my genre, okay? So of course, if you tell me, hey Lucy, do you want to play the original Shin Megami Tensei? I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, of course. Oh yeah, they are stupid difficult, which is why we have to play them.
I've got this.
Take cover.
I should be actually parrying this.
Watch out, my Al.
Let's dance.
This I should have parried
You can do it.
at this point.
Ready to let the ink flow.
Ready to strike.
Well, technically the original, I think there were 2 other games on the Nintendo, but they were based off of their literature, whereas the third game was when the series started building its own mythos. Okay. But Lucy, you can barely beat that troll in Sekiro. Yeah, but Shin Megami Tensei games are turn-based RPGs. It's a different type of difficulty. Just because I suck at one type of game, it doesn't follow that I suck at all types of games, okay? I can be very bad at Sekiro, but I can be quite good at something else.
Watch out, my Al.
Oh my god, I keep making the mistake. You can play Ninja Gaiden. Actually, believe it or not, at least back in the day, I've been pretty good at Ninja Gaiden. Everybody complained that Ninja Gaiden was quite difficult, but I actually found Ninja Gaiden to be pretty
Not leaving you behind.
serviceable.
On me.
I've played Ni no Kuni a little bit. A very fun game. I'd like to play it on stream at some point.
Time to hit big.
I hate that I keep making this same mistake. What kind of music? Was not expecting this kind of music from this late game. This is actually my favorite battle theme in this game. Is your controller fine now? If I remember, it was giving you some problems. Yeah, it's okay now. I cannot blame anything on the controller. It's all about me being bad.
Just try it.
See, this is me being bad.
You're outmatched.
I don't know. I still dislike Verso partially. I can understand Verso, but I still. Ugh. Oh my god, I missed the last hit. I sort of kind of can understand Verso's perspective, but you know, he pisses me off.
Careful, my ult.
You know?
Blades sharp.
You understand why, right?
The Gustav.
He basically let Gustav die. How can we forgive Verso for that? You know? You know what I mean?
Time to strike. Watch out, my L.
Thank you for gifting the tier 1. This one hit me later, so I better... Oh, by the way, Dr. Jones, have you seen the interview? How did you like it? Have you been here from the beginning? Thank you very much for the tier 1.
My turn. That's better.
Brace yourselves.
Nice. What did you think of the interview? Did you like it? Okay, I'm gonna go to the toilet real quick. In the meantime, right, tell me how you liked the interview. We've gained like quite a few subscribers, so that's nice. That is nice. It was fine? Oh, it wasn't good? Man. Did you see that Macherevich lost his immunity? No, I did not. Oh my god. Wait, let me Google it before I go to the toilet. No way, really? Holy crap. One of the biggest lunatic in Polish politics has lost his immunity. Ooh. You know what? I'm gonna cover this today. Ooh, baby boy. Why was it just fine? Why did you not like about the interview, Dr. Jones? Why do you hate me? Dr. Jones, why do you hate me? Mister! Ow, ow, ow! Wait, is he fed? Hold on. I'm gonna fed him as well. Feed him, not fed him. Wait, Dr. Jones has not said why it was only fine. I'm gonna have to apologize. But Macharevich losing his immunity is big. Actually, good news. Wow. Oh, okay. Because when you say it was fine, it kind of means there was meh, you know? Hello, Arkael. Join the website YouTube chat. Yes. I'm on a plane. Where are you going? Are you going to Ukraine? Gustav's homage. Fido is high energy. Actually. Toronto? Oh. Well, at least some of us can visit our dad. Definitely, I mean, I can visit my father's grave. But that's not quite the same. I guess in a way I can visit my dad. Fido should do the next interview. Wow, that is so mean. Mean-spirited. I thought you said you had no complaints. What do you mean what? My father died from COVID. That's... I mean... We are... The inheritance thing is... after my father. Very abrupt as well, what happened with him.
I've got this.
Ready to evade. I'm ready. On guard. I won't lose.
Yeah.
Okay. Chroma is flowing.
Let's carve a path. Time to strike. Watch out.
Finesse and grace.
Finesse and grace. Heed my embrace.
For Gustav.
For Gustav. It's 2 hits now. It's gonna become 3 hits later on. And his damage will be bigger. It's gonna be higher than that later.
You're outmatched. Disaster expedition.
Careful, my elbow. This ends now. Overflowing with energy.
True. So how is everybody feeling right now? Everybody good? I should actually sleep a bit at some point. You know? Do you think I should sleep a bit at some point? Oh my gosh. Yeah, Kiev has been attacked again. Well, I'll be going back there again soon. Do you want me to... Do you have any special requests, Dr. Johns? Like Black Mesa or Signalis? We must finish Signalis at some point.
Ready to
It's our
go.
duty.
This will hurt. With the staff.
Time to end this.
That was great what happened last night, Conrad. I'm doing simulated chemistry, 2 hours, 1 life making. Oh. Maybe when I'm off work or this weekend. Maybe this weekend, that could be cool. We could do some nice things.
Time to strike.
Finishing Signalis is just step 1. Apparently I should get all the endings. The conversation you had with Carasso last night. That was my Emperor moment. Listen.
Bring it on.
On me.
You're just jealous because you don't have good friends like I do.
Time to hit big.
I like your presentation style, Lucy. Was listening in and it was very informative. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I try to be among informative people. You know, I do my best. I was informative because I had that Dylan Burns energy. Yeah, that's what it is. You figured it out. Thank you. I am good at figuring things out, I've been told. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I will have to set it up. I've been having some problems with RetroArch recently for some reason. Do you think there's a chance for me to become a small streamer from a micro streamer? Is there a pathway for me? Do you think?
Cut him down.
That's big damage.
Lightning dodge. Take cover. Finesse and grace. Danger. Brace yourselves.
Oh my god.
Not looking good. Okay.
Don't die next time.
True. Don't die. Well, I have no clue how I messed that up,
Not
but
leaving you behind.
you know what? That's why we have this.
Here we go again.
True.
Blades. Brave.
Careful now.
Let the ink flow. Brace yourself. Easy time.
We need to get back to the level 2 gradient attack because
Cut him down. Time to strike.
Careful, my elf.
Mael
Overflowing with energy.
overflowing with energy. What do you think? What's up? What's up, my chatters? Hmm? Drama discussion? Kaido! Kaido! One moment, I have to retrieve this thing that he stole. He wants my attention. Kaido. Alright. Kaido! I'm making Mercury from Cinnabar. Okay, we're gonna try to beat this boss and then I'm going to go to sleep. Is that okay? Is that acceptable? Is that an acceptable arrangement for everybody involved? No, what about your US viewers? You're right, I shouldn't sleep. You're right, I was about to go to sleep, but now I decided not to. You've made me not to.
On guard. On me.
I've lived through what?
I won't leave you there. On me.
Well, I died. Yeah, I wanna try again actually. No problem. I would have went to sleep, but I decided to try again because, you know,
Danger.
Conrad made me. I remembered about my US viewers thanks to Conrad.
Careful now.
On me. Augusta.
Cut him down.
On me. Lune, watch out. Let's go dodge. Careful with fire. Careful, Maya.
Last ditch effort. Disaster expedition.
Oh.
Careful, Maya. Flames sharp. Flames rain. Okay.
Break. Lune, careful.
On me. Careful, Russo. On me. Go forward. Flames. Rain.
Watch out. out my L.
Let the ink flow.
Maximum damage. Time to strike.
It's sharp. On me. Brace yourself.
Ready.
Careful. Not looking good. Time to hit big. Ready to parry.
Careful now.
On me. So much potential. You can't escape. This will hurt. Flames, rain.
You're outmatched. Time to strike.
Let's dance. Danger. On me. Time to hit big. Overflowing with energy.
You're outmatched.
Well, I was going to come here after the times 3 minute, but we had a sudden constitutional crisis and all. Hello. Hello, Titan. Yeah, I heard. And it's a constitutional crisis in the state that I have actually family in, Texas. Interestingly enough. It's a crisis that actually has some direct relevance to my family. I've actually received a phone call recently from my family member from Texas, so interesting, right? Austin, Texas. Yeah, they're fine. I mean, one of my family members went from a pretty serious illness recently, but you know. But it's a federal constitution crisis. Trump ordered the FBI to arrest the Texas House Democrats who are preventing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've actually seen a little bit about that. There's also the bit about the Supreme Court looking into changing voting rights. So here you go. There's also that constitutional crisis. Right. Yeah, I will have to cover that as well. Actually, I feel like.
Watch out, my L.
I think, Titan, what did you think of my interview about the children? Was I too low energy? If they detain any of the House members, they are engaged in kidnapping scheme. And who investigates kidnapping? The FBI. Well, that's messed up. Trump was also wandering around on the roof of the White House too. Wow. That's... My gosh. You were excellent. Thank you. I thought I might have been a little bit... I've been told that I might have been a little bit too low energy. You know?
Let us stay here.
Coming.
You should have picked up a few subs. I spammed the link in the time chat. Yes, thank you very much. I've actually picked up 6 new subscribers thanks to you. We are on the way to becoming a small streamer from micro streamer thanks to you. Yeah.
Careful.
I'll do it.
Wow.
I won't waste this. Chroma is flowing.
Well, anything over 1k is no longer micro, I think, but that's some sub. That's fair, but I feel like I'm micro because I don't ever have more than 20 viewers watching live. Small streamer Lucy Arkin coming, hopefully. Hopefully anybody that watched today live will come back. I wonder how the VOD is doing, by the way. We released a VOD. It has a VOD about me being very, very angry with Anna Kasparian. Raging at Anna Kasparian VOD. 2 views. Well, maybe it will pick up later. Also, I'm gathering money for a microphone that I can have good audio quality in Ukraine. Apparently that's quite important.
Guard up! Take cover!
Bring it on.
We're not doing so great.
Not impressed.
I'm gonna try again. Somehow. But I should go to sleep. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, try again or sleep? It is up to my audience now. It's all in your hands. Try again or sleep? Sleep or try again? Try again? Alright. I'll make the music a bit louder. When did you last sleep? Yesterday. I streamed all night and then I had to go to a lawyer during the day. I spent time with my mom and then I returned and then I did this.
I'll do it.
For goodness sake, sleep. Okay, we'll just try this one more time and then I go to sleep. I feel like I could succeed at beating this person.
I've got this.
This thing.
Careful, Mael.
Mael?
For me.
Careful, Mael. Gustav Samaj.
The elements dance.
Dance, elements, dance.
Ready to strike. Time to strike.
Take cover.
Of course.
Disaster expedition.
Yeah. Disaster expedition, eh?
Let us stay. Let's keep going. Finesse and grace.
Let's have some fun. Not impressed.
I was sure that I had this figured out. I think my reflexes are getting
I won't waste this.
lower a bit.
The eternity of ice.
Because I thought I had this parry figured out.
Time to strike.
Danger! The dance begins. Let us stay now. Lightning dance!
Lightning dance.
Ready to evade.
Probably unironically would be smart of me to just try to evade it instead of parrying.
For now.
The elements dance. This hurt.
Time to strike.
We've got work to do. Lightning dance! Okay. Careful, Verso.
Oh my god.
Still need your help.
There you go.
The dance begins.
Time to strike.
A storm is coming.
Oh well.
Flames rain. Don't fall.
Oh, nice.
Let's dance.
Yeah, let's survive this. Let's try.
The eternity of ice.
Let's cut the path.
It's carve a path indeed.
Time to strike.
Careful, Verso.
Not impressed.
Take cover! I'm ready.
Bring it on.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to sleep. That was very nice, but I'm going to, you know, it's time for me to sleep. I'm gonna try later. We're gonna defeat this enemy. Gonna rest a bit now. Wait, hold on. I actually have to finish stream. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna send you to the surfs, I guess. There you go. Enjoy some lands from the surfs. I'm gonna see you, okay? Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Good night.